Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pucharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasajatra Desatarani Vanchakalpaturjasya Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So for this morning's Japa, make Japa great again, I'll just talk a little bit about just some basics. Is this okay? Of practice and keeping our minds focused on the sound, bringing our minds gently back to concentrating. So Srila Prabhupada talks about just listening. Just listening is enough to give us advancement in our japa and hence in our spiritual lives, because japa is the basic. If we notice where our mind is going, just gently pull it back to the sound vibration. And I find myself that whatever I spend my day on, or whatever, when I'm not doing my japa, that's where my mind tends to wander, what I'm going to have to do later in the day, or what I've spent time doing the day before. So the more our engagement is in Krishna consciousness, the more our katha is speaking about Krishna, his pastimes, like that, then even when our mind wanders, it's not off to such a bad place, and it's more gently and easily brought back to the sound. I know sometimes devotees I've heard ask, should I be meditating on Krishna's pastimes? But that's not what our meditation should be, unless those pastimes come into our mind by Krishna's grace. We just need to listen to the mantra, make sure we're chanting each syllable clearly and with attention. And then if we think of a pastime, like when we go to the Dham and remember the pastimes, if they just come into our mind, then that's Krishna's mercy on us. Not that we force it. Our concentration should just be on listening to each syllable. If we're able to make a comeback, as Prabhu says, and sometimes it's bead by bead, then that's the practice. That's what it is. It's a practice. And over many, many sessions of japa, many days of chanting, 16 rounds or however many rounds we're all chanting, that practice becomes more steady, more natural, and more enlivening. I like to look at it as it's my personal time with Krishna. And I'm putting in the time to chant my rounds. So why not put in the best time? Why not give it my full attention? Give Krishna my full attention as much as I can, bringing my mind back to hearing his name. And when I do that in a mood of gratitude, I find having a mood of gratitude really helps me to control my mind. Gratitude and humility. Humble that I can't always control my mind, that it does flicker, that it does go off very quickly to somewhere else, but noticing more quickly that I can pull it back beat by beat. So we'll just start with that and be able to get some rounds done. And anybody have a reflection before we start?
I just have a question. So we also hear that we hear that there are different meanings of the name. The mantra given by, the most prominent is, "Dear Lord, please engage me in your service," but then there's so many others. do we necessarily meditate upon those meanings as well, or do we just keep them in our heart as the mood in which we chant and just focus on the name?
Just, Srila Prabhupada, like you said, there's many innumerable meanings to the names, but just focusing on hearing the name and whatever helps you to remember Krishna's name and feel that personal connection to him, then that's viable for your japa. But it shouldn't be forced. It should just come naturally. And the basic one, as you all know, that Srila Prabhupada gave us is, my dear Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service. So then whatever comes from that, or, if you've seen a deity, you have a deity you're specifically attached to, you serve, whatever names come to you for whatever reason, when it's not forced, that's Krishna's mercy. Is that okay? All right. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Mama Yari Yari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Baba Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Krishna Krishna Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram 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 Hari Hari Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Yari Yari Ram Ram Does anybody have any reflections they'd like to share? I was remembering that when we're in Vrindavan during Kartik or sometimes again in February, March, I like to go to Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi. The temple opens at 3 o'clock. You can go onto the temple grounds, so I like to get there at 3 because it's still relatively quiet. As I'm sitting there, the traffic, it's just my mind to push. I had something to push against. I could push against the sound. I could push against the dogs barking and like that. And it really helped me to concentrate on the sound of the holy name. So I was able to kind of switch it like that. And I found that very helpful. So even like this morning, things were coming into my mind and I realized I could push against it with my mind and help to control it, not let it be flying all over, and just concentrate on the sound, concentrate on the mantra. Anybody have anything?
Hare Krishna. Before Japa, you were mentioning how we shouldn't kind of force ourselves to say, like, think of Krishna's pastimes, think specifically of this image or that image, but rather you said it's something that should come naturally, that Krishna's giving us, like, the mercy to think about. And so I felt like rather than forcing ourselves into it, it kind of made me also realize, similar to what Maharaj was saying yesterday, if you're sincerely chanting or if you're sincerely showing interest, it will naturally come and develop over time and you'll have a taste for it. And so I kind of tried to do that today. And when I was trying to do that, I actually realized my mind was wandering in a lot of places. And it inherently showed me that I still had so much more to go for me to develop that kind of like taste and like constantly keep focus on Krishna itself. So whenever I started doing that, I started thinking, okay, I'm not on my next round, but I'm on my next beat. Let's try to focus back. Let's try to hear my voice again and like hear myself chanting. And so it also kind of showed me that no matter where you are, like no matter what noise there is externally, you can kind of close off in your mind and like focus on Krishna itself.
Very nice, thank you. It's like the mind is the worst enemy or the best friend, and if we can find that switch to make it our best friend, one beat at a time, it really does help. Okay, go ahead, Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna. What you shared in the beginning, as Vaishnavi also touched on, which was the concept of not forcing meditation or trying to meditate on the pastimes like generating in your mind, but just allowing it to naturally come. I read in a book that Jayadvaita Maharaj wrote about Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan standards, which was a story that someone had asked Srila Prabhupada what he normally meditates on or what they should meditate on when doing Kirtan. And he said there's no question of meditating on anything, just simply just hear the name that you're chanting. And so it's nice to see that that also applies both for Kirtan and for Japa. And the idea that, we have to focus more just the chanting of the holy name is kind of relieving, because otherwise there's so many aspects, especially with kirtan. Japa is a little more simple, but kirtan is like, we have to think about what tune and what rhythm and what beat, all these things. And it's really distracting sometimes when we're trying to just, ultimately the goal is to just chant the holy name. So
That's
really
very
nice reminder as well.
Thank you. That's a really nice justification. Thank you. I think the schedule is for us to do Guru Puja now.
6:40.
Yeah, but that schedule was a little. 6:30 for Guru Puja?
We can take a couple more reflections with me. So 6:35 we can start.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Guruma, thank you for leading today's session. You mentioned that all we need to focus on is just the sound of the holy name. And it reminded me that yesterday on the bus I was chanting and Madhuri Saki was sitting next to me and she said, "Do you know you say Krishna an extra time?" And I was like, "What?" And then I realized that I'm saying an extra name. And she was like, "I mean, it's better to say an extra than not enough." But I was at the same time, it means that I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying. And so today I just was really focusing on what I was saying and trying to listen to the mantra, and it was really helpful.
That's nice. Nice sharing that. Prabhu has recommended sometimes that we tape our chanting so that we can hear how we're actually doing it. But it's actually, you said it's better to chant an extra than not enough. That's nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guruma. So, like you mentioned, we don't want to force thoughts or force meditations into our mind, but that by Krishna's mercy, we can, sometimes things may come into our mind. Now, in my personal experience, I find that I go into like problem solving a lot of the time, and it may not be about work, but oftentimes it's about surface, like, oh, this wasn't working, or that wasn't working, or why did this so, and then an idea pops into my mind. Or I might just be even chanting and an idea pops into my mind. Now, where is that fine line between actively my brain is engaged in something else versus I'm getting inspiration?
Yeah, it is a fine line, and I see that with Prabhu a lot, and sometimes with myself. We're always processing, and so you can just take a moment, write it down, or put it I'd have to write it down myself to be able to remember it, but you may just be able to, put it in a pocket somewhere and then come back to it. But no, it's inspiration that you're getting for your service when you're listening to the holy name and concentrating on the holy name, and then those problems can be solved. So,
When I was chanting today, Hare Krishna. When I was chanting today, I just heard like a bunch of whispers that sounded like a car shop, as in it was like a car shop, and then it sort of reminded me last year. Like Maharaj, when we were walking, when we were doing a Japa walk, he found a Snicker wrapper on the floor, and he picked it up, and then he was like, "What if we chant Snicker?" So then he's like, "Snicker, Krishna, 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 Krishna," and then what was really amazing about that was that he's able to see Krishna in all situations. And when you were mentioning that we should focus on the name, and specifically the fact that Krishna's pastime should naturally be revealed to us, I thought of a verse from Harinam Chintamani where it talks about how eventually when we chant the name steadily, then eventually the form of Shyamasundara will be revealed to us. And then once we understand the form, then we'll, steadily chanting, we will understand the form and then the qualities and the pastimes of Krishna. And I really like how you emphasize that this should be a natural process and not something that we force, because I've struggled with, hearing about different things and how we should maybe try and force it. But actually, if we perform enough shravanam and we perform enough kirtanam, then eventually we'll naturally be more inclined to think about Krishna. So I was just thinking about that.
Thank you. Yeah. Krishna's form and pastimes are revealed to us. We can't do it intellectually. We can't force it. It comes from being empowered by Krishna. Even chanting our japa, even if we're doing it as a practice and trying to do it without offenses, we're being empowered by Krishna to be able to do that. It's His mercy that we're able to chant japa, that we're able to put our hands in our bead bag and chant japa every day. So I think we're ready. Thank you all. I found this really enlivening for myself this morning. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruma, for leading us into such a nice japa session. So if I could request devotees, you can remove all the bags, everything onto one side. All the Matajis can be on the right of Srila Prabhupada and the Prabhus on the left. We can move the speaker onto the chair and the mic can come on this side, so there is no hindrance. And we have Gitavali, who's going to lead the Aarti. And who's singing? Shrikar Prabhu? Shrikar Prabhu is singing. Okay, so if you can have the mic down this way. Hare Krishna. After we do the Aarti, we will be making an offering to Srila Prabhupada of this course, of how we've been doing. So Ram Prabhu is going to make that offering to Srila Prabhupada, so please stay. So just in terms of the timing, it's about 6:40, so we'll go on till about 7 o'clock, and then quick offering, and then the Bhagavatam class. So here, Shrikar Prabhu.
Shastra singing. You want to use the wired mic or a wireless mic? Or wireless mic is better. Okay, so just
Nama Shreshtam Marmapi Shachiputramatra Swarupam Shri Rupam Tasya Grajam Murupuri Mathurim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi He Guru Jnanadadina Bandho Swanandadata Karunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sinatavatar Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara He Dina Bandho Karunaika Sindho Kuru Prasadam Marimanda Mudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padme Stumatischa Krishne Naivopayantyapachatiം kavayastadesha Brahmayushapi kritam riddham udasmaranta Yontarbahistanubhritam ashubham vidhunvan Acharya chaitya vapusha svagatim vyanakti Shri Guru Charana Padma Shri Guru Charana प्रसादे भाई भव तो दिया जाए जहाँ प्रसाद भाई भव तोरिया जाए तोरिया जाए कृष्ण प्राप्ति और सब कृष्ण प्राप्ति है गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चित्त को क्या गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चित्त कोरिया ऐक्या Japa Krishna Krishna Hare how does the next part go again? On the next one, on the second part. Tell me, yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, back down. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Vishnuvad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Sada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotara Sada Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Really?
Stand up and come closer to Prabhupada.
It's gone. Huh? What?
Of our Sankirtan activities here in South India as we follow the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please come to witness, get closer, and yes, I'm going to hand it over to Mahaprabhu.
Hare Krishna, Devanam Prabhu, thank you for giving the opportunity to present the offerings that we've done for Sankirtan to Srila Prabhupada today. We've done a lot of Sankirtan, especially in Simhachalam, and not as much yesterday, unfortunately, but also the day before. And I'm very pleased to report 1,000 rupees of donations. And we've distributed 415 Telugu books and 95 English books. So thank you everyone for participating in Sankirtan, and hopefully we can continue to do more. And now we can finish with a prayer for this. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Panchatattva, Sri Radha Madan Mohan, if you so desire, please accept our offering from this Global Youth Retreat for Sankirtan efforts that we've done so far, and allow us to continue to do so going forward. Hare Krishna. If anyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chai. So this morning, everybody can have Shikha Prabhu. Can we have someone lead Jayarada Madhav? And Guru Maharaj is going to lead something which Guru Maharaj has just sent. Guru Maharaj is just resting. He'll be down with us to go to the program where we're going to go. So, but we'll have Guru Maharaj leading us onto the class. So please everybody sit down and we'll have someone lead Jayarada Madhav very shortly in the next 30 seconds. Can we have the harmonium ready, please?
What a ready man.
Do
Do service.
Yes, please, go ahead. Really quick. I think my wife is trying to say, Smiling, can you do something about it? Well, let's see what we can do about it. But we'll sing Jai Radha Madhav. Can we have the mic stand? Is it possible? You don't need a mic stand. No, you don't need a mic stand. Good.
It's tough. I wonder if she got shafted. Oh, never mind. I apologize, Prabhu. Do you want this back?
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Yashodanandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Prabhu recommended that we read this morning from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Sanatana Goswami and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are speaking. I think Sanatana Goswami is asking questions. So it is Madhya 20.98. That's where we'll start. And I'll start the reading, and then we can pass the mic around, and we can take turns. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Putting a straw in his mouth and bowing down, Sanatana Goswami clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and humbly spoke as follows. Sanatana Goswami said, I was born in a low family, and my associates are all low-class men. I myself am fallen and am the lowest of men. Indeed, I have passed my whole life fallen in the well of sinful materialism. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Actually, Sri Sanatana Goswami belonged to a Brahmana family because he belonged to the Sarasvata division of the Brahmanas and was well-cultured and well-educated. Somehow or other, he accepted a ministership in the Muslim government. Therefore, he had to associate with meat-eaters, drunkards, and gross materialists. Sanatana Goswami considered himself fallen, for in the association of such men, he also fell victim to material enjoyment. Having passed his life in that way, he considered that he had wasted his valuable time. This statement about how one can become fallen in this material world is made by the greatest authority in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Actually, the whole world is presently fallen into material existence. Everyone is a meat-eater, drunkard, woman hunter, gambler, and whatnot. People are enjoying material life by committing the 4 basic sins. Although they are fallen, if they simply submit themselves at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will be saved from sinful reactions. Verse 100. I do not know what is beneficial for me or what is detrimental. Nonetheless, in ordinary dealings, people consider me a learned scholar, and I am also thinking of myself as such. Okay, someone else can start.
Out of your causeless mercy, you have delivered me from the materialistic path. Now, by the same causeless mercy, please tell me what is my duty is.
Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited?
Purport.
The threefold material miseries are miseries.
Oh, okay. You're doing the purport?
Oh, yeah, he gave
Okay.
The threefold material miseries are miseries arising from the body and the mind, miseries arising from dealings with other living entities, and miseries arising from natural disturbances. Sometimes we suffer bodily when we are attacked by a fever, and sometimes we suffer mentally when a close relative dies. Other living entities also cause us misery. There are living entities born of the human embryo, of eggs, perspiration, and vegetation. Miserable conditions brought about by natural catastrophes are controlled by the higher demigods. There may be severe cold or thunderbolts, or a person may be haunted by ghosts. These threefold miseries are always before us, and they entrap us in a dangerous situation. Padam padam yat vipadam. There is danger in every step of life.
Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for obtaining it. Being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Lord Krishna has bestowed his full mercy upon you so that all these things are known to you. For you, the threefold miseries certainly do not exist.
Can you pass it to the Vaishnavis? We'll go back and forth. 5 here and then 5 there.
Since you possess Lord Krishna's potency, you certainly know these things. However, it is the nature of a sadhu to inquire. Although he knows these things, the sadhu inquires for the sake of strictness.
Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. This verse, quoted from the Naradiya Purana, is found in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-103.
You are fit to propagate the cult of devotional service. Therefore, gradually hear the truths about it from me. I shall tell you about them. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because he is the marginal energy of Krishna, and a manifestation simultaneously one with and different from the Lord, like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire. Krishna has 3 varieties of energy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses as follows. Sri Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Who am I?" In answer, the Lord replied, "You are a pure living entity. You are neither the gross material body nor the subtle body composed of mind and intelligence. Actually, you are a spirit soul, eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Krishna. Therefore, you are his eternal servant. You belong to Krishna's marginal potency. There are 2 worlds, the spiritual world and the material world, and you are situated between the material and spiritual potencies. You have a relationship with both the material and spiritual world. Therefore, you are called the marginal potency. You are related with Krishna as one and simultaneously different. Because you are a spirit soul, you are one in quality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because you are a very minute particle of spirit soul, you are different from the Supreme Soul. Therefore, your position is simultaneously one with and different from the Supreme Soul. The examples given are those of the sun itself and the small particles of sunshine. and of a blazing fire and the small particles of fire. Another explanation of these verses can be found in Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 98.
96.
Sorry, 96.
Just as the illumination of a fire, which is situated in one place, is spread all over, the energies of the Supreme Personality, Godhead Parabrahman, are spread all over this universe. Purport. This is a quotation from the Vishnu Puran 1.22.53.
Lord Krishna naturally has three energetic transformations, and these are known as the spiritual potency, the living entity potency, and the illusory potency.
Originally, Krishna's energy is spiritual, and the energy known as the living entity is also spiritual. However, there is another energy, called illusion, which consists of fruitive activity. That is the Lord's third potency. Purport. This is a quotation from the Vishnu Puran 6.7.61. For a further explanation of this verse, refer to Adi Lila, chapter 7, verse 119.
All the creative energies, which are inconceivable to a common man, exist in supreme absolute truth. These inconceivable energies act in the process of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. O chief of the ascetics, just as there are two energies possessed by fire, namely heat and light, these inconceivable creative energies are the natural characteristics of the absolute truth. Purport. This is also a quotation from the Vishnu Puran 1.3.2.
Okay, the Kshetragya Shakti is the living entity.
Although he has the facility to live in either the material or the spiritual world, he suffers the threefold miseries of material existence because he is influenced by the avidya, nescience potency, which covers his constitutional position. Purport. This and the following verse are also quoted from the Vishnu Purana 6.7, 62 to 63. For an explanation, see Madhya Lila, chapter 6, verses 155 to 56.
The living entity covered by the influence of nescience exists in different forms in the material condition. O king, he is thus proportionately freed from the influence of the material energy to greater or lesser degrees.
Besides these inferior energies, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Purport. This is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 5. For an explanation, see Adi Lila, chapter 7, verse 118.
Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy, Maya, gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence. Purport. When the living entity forgets his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna, he is immediately entrapped by the illusory external energy. The living entity is originally part and parcel of Krishna and is therefore the supreme energy of Krishna. He is endowed with inconceivable, minute energy that works inconceivably within the body. However, the living entity, forgetting his position, is situated in material energy. The living entity is called the marginal energy because by nature he is spiritual, but by forgetfulness he is situated in the material energy. Thus he has the power to live either in the material energy or in the spiritual energy, and for this reason he is called marginal energy. Being in the marginal position, he is sometimes attracted by the external illusory energy, and this is the beginning of his material life. When he enters the material energy, he is subjected to the threefold time measurement, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future belong only to the material world. They do not exist in the spiritual world. The living entity is
eternal, and he has existed before the creation of this material world. Unfortunately, he has forgotten his relationship with Krishna. The living entity's forgetfulness is described herein as anadi, which indicates that it has existed since time immemorial. One should understand that due to his desire to enjoy himself in competition with Krishna, the living entity comes into material existence.
In the material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to higher planetary systems and material prosperity and sometimes drowned in a hellish situation. His state is exactly like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in water and then raising him again from the water. Purport. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.3.16, it is stated, Asango hyam purushaha. The living entity is always free from the contamination of the material world. One who is not materially infected and who does not forget Krishna and as his master is called Nitya Mukta. In other words, one who is eternally liberated from material contamination is called Nitya Mukta. From time immemorial, the Nitya Mukta living entity has always been a devotee of Krishna, and his only attempt has been to serve Krishna. Thus, he never forgets his eternal servitorship to Krishna. Any living entity who forgets his eternal relationship with Krishna is under the sway of material condition. Bereft of the Lord's transcendental loving service, he is subjected to the reactions of fruitive activity. When he is elevated to the higher planetary systems due to worldly pious activities, he considers himself well situated. But when he is subjected to punishment, he thinks himself improperly situated. Thus, material nature awards and punishes the living entity. When the living entity is materially opulent, material nature is rewarding him. When he is materially embarrassed, material nature is punishing him.
When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Viparyayo Smriti. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:37. It is an instruction given by Kavi Rishi, one of the 9 saintly personalities called the 9 Yogendras. When Vasudeva, Krishna's father, asked Devarshi Narada in Dwarka about devotional service, it was mentioned that previously King Nimi, who was the king of Videha, was instructed by the 9 Yogendras. When Sri Narada Muni discoursed on Bhagavad Dharma, devotional service, he indicated how a conditioned soul can be liberated by engaging in the loving transcendental service of the Lord. The Lord is the super soul, spiritual master, and worshipable deity of all conditioned souls. Not only is Krishna the supreme worshipful deity for all living entities, but he is also the Guru, or Chaitya Guru, the super soul who always gives the living entity good counsel. Unfortunately, the living entity neglects the Supreme Person's instructions. He thus identifies with the material energy and is consequently overpowered by a kind of fear resulting from accepting himself as the material body and considering paraphernalia related to the material body to be his property. All types of fruitive results actually come from the spirit soul, but because he has forgotten his real duty, he is embarrassed by many material consequences such as fear and attachment. The only remedy is to revert to the service of the Lord and thus be saved from material nature's unwanted harassment.
If the conditioned soul becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of saintly persons who voluntarily preach scriptural injunctions and help him to become Krishna conscious, the conditioned soul is liberated from the clutches of Maya, who gives him help. Purport. A conditioned soul is one who has forgotten Krishna as his eternal master. Thinking that he is enjoying the material world, the conditioned soul suffers the threefold miseries of material existence. Saintly persons, sadhus, Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, preach Krishna consciousness on the basis of the Vedic literature. It is only by their mercy that the conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness. When awakened, he is no longer eager to enjoy the materialistic way of life. Instead, he devotes himself to the loving transcendental service of the Lord. When one engages in the Lord's devotional service, he becomes detached from the material enjoyment. Bhakti pareshanubhava viraktir anyatra chesha trika eka kala. Bhagavatam 11.2.42. This is the test by which one can tell whether he is advancing in devotional service. One must be detached from material enjoyment. Such detachment means that Maya has actually given the conditioned soul liberation from illusory enjoyment. When one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, he does not consider himself as good as Krishna. Whenever he thinks that he is the enjoyer of material advantages, he is imprisoned in the bodily conception. However, when he is freed from the bodily conception, he can engage in devotional service, which is his actual position of freedom from the clutches of Maya. This is all explained in the following verse from the Bhagavad Gita 7.14.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort, but out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compelled the Vedic literature and its supplements, the Puranas. Purport. The conditioned soul is bewildered by the Lord's illusionary energy, Maya. Maya's business is to keep the conditioned soul forgetful of his real relationship with Krishna. Thus, the living entity forgets his real identity as spirit soul, Brahman, and instead of realizing his factual position, thinks himself the product of the material energy. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.5, Yaya samohito jiva atmanam tri gunatmakam paropi manute nartam tat kritam chabipadyate. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. This is a description of Maya's action upon the conditioned soul. Thinking himself a product of the material energy, the conditioned soul engages in the service of the material energy in so many ways. He becomes the servant of lust, anger, greed, and envy. In this way, one totally becomes a servant of the illusory energy. Later, the bewildered soul becomes a servant of mental speculation, but in any case, he is simply covered by the illusory energy. Out of his causeless mercy and compassion, Krishna has compelled these literatures to awaken the conditioned soul to his senses. Unfortunately, at the present moment, the conditioned souls are guided by the demons who do not care to read the Vedic literatures. Although there is an immense treasure house of knowledge, people are engaged in reading useless literature that will give them no information on how to get out of the clutches of Maya. The purpose of the Vedic literatures is explained in the following verses.
The forgetful conditioned soul is educated by Krishna through the Vedic literatures, the realized spiritual master, and the supersoul. Through these, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, and he can understand that Lord Krishna is his eternal master and deliverer from the clutches of Maya. In this way, one can acquire real knowledge of his conditioned life and can come to understand how to attain liberation. Purport. Being forgetful of his real position, the conditioned soul may take help from Shastra, Guru, and the supersoul within his heart. Krishna is situated within everyone's heart as the supersoul, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 1861. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridde sher janatishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. As the Shakta Vesh avatar Vyasadeva
Krishna teaches the conditioned soul through the Vedic literatures. Krishna externally appears as the spiritual master and trains the conditioned soul to come to Krishna consciousness. When his original Krishna consciousness is revived, the conditioned soul is delivered from the material clutches. Thus, a conditioned soul is always helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in three ways: by the scriptures, the spiritual master, and the supersoul within the heart. The Lord is the deliverer of the conditioned soul and is accepted as the Supreme Lord of all living entities. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 18:66, Sarva dharman parityajya ma'amekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This same instruction is found throughout all Vedic literatures. Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru act as the representatives of Krishna, and the Krishna consciousness movement is also taking place all over the universe. Whoever takes advantage of this opportunity becomes liberated.
The Vedic literatures give information about the living entity.
Devotional service or sense activity for the satisfaction of the Lord is called abhideya because it can develop one's original love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. This goal is the living entity's topmost interest and greatest wealth. Thus one attains the platform of transcendental loving service unto the Lord. Purport. The conditioned soul is bewildered by the external material energy, which fully engages him in sense gratification in various ways. Due to engagement in material activities, one's original Krishna consciousness is covered. However, as the Supreme Father of all living entities, Krishna wants his son to return home. As personally enunciated by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedescha sarve rahameva vedya. Through the study of Vedanta, one may become fully aware of his relationship with the Supreme Lord and act accordingly. In this way, one may ultimately attain the platform of loving service to the Lord. It is in the living entity's best interest to understand the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, the living entities have forgotten that this is in their best interest, and therefore Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nate vidu swarta gatim hi Vishnu. Bhagavatam 7.5.31. Everyone wants Krishna conscious has attained the perfection of life.
When one attains the transcendental bliss of an intimate relationship with Krishna, he renders service to him and tastes the mellow of Krishna consciousness.
The following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man, and seeing his distressed condition, he questioned him. Purport. Sometimes we go to an astrologer or palmist where we are in a distressed condition or when we want to know the future. The living entity in conditioned life is always distressed by the threefold miseries of material existence. Under the circumstances, he is inquisitive about his position. For instance, Sanatan Goswami approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to ask him why he was in a distressed condition. This is the position of all conditioned souls. We are always in a distressed condition, and an intelligent man naturally becomes inquisitive. This position is called Brahma 1.1.1. Brahma here refers to the Vedic literature. One should consult the Vedic literature to know why this conditioned soul is always in a distressed condition. The Vedic literatures are meant to free the conditioned soul from the miserable conditions of material existence. In this chapter, the story of the astrologer, Sarvagnana, and the poor man is very instructive.
The astrologer asked, "Why are you unhappy? Your father was very wealthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere."
Just as the words of the astrologer Sarvagya gave news of the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition.
By the words of the astrologer, the poor man's connection with the treasure was established. Similarly, the Vedic literature advises us that our real connection is with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.26, Krishna says, Veda samaditani vakramani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kashana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one. And inform him about forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Krishna exhibits himself in relationships in Vrindavan and the battle of Kurukshetra so that the people will be attracted to him and will return home back to Godhead. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the proprietor of all universes, the enjoyer of everything that be, and the friend of everyone. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram surudu sarva bhutanam. Bhagavad Gita 5.20. We revive our original inmate relationship with Krishna. Our distressed condition is the material world will be solved unless one is an inmate relationship with Krishna.
Although being assured of his father's treasure, the poor man cannot acquire this treasure by such knowledge alone. Therefore, the astrologer had to inform him of the means whereby he could actually find the treasure.
Translation. If you dig on the western side, there's a. Oh. The astrologer said. 132. Translation. If you dig on. Oh. The astrologer said the treasure is in this place. If you dig toward the southern side, the wasps and drones will rise. You will not get your treasure.
If you dig on the northern side, there is a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to.
133.
If you dig on the western side, there is a ghost who will create such a disturbance that your hands will not even touch the treasure.
If you dig on the northern side, there is a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to dig up the treasure.
However, if you dig up a small quantity of dirt on the eastern side, your hands will immediately touch the pot of treasure. Purport, including the Puranas, say that according to the position of the conditioned soul, there are different processes: Kanda, Jnana Kanda, the yogic processes, and the Bhakti Yoga process. Karma Kanda is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes shelter of them. Jnanakanda, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who creates mental disturbances. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by the impersonal cultivation of Kaivalya. However, if one takes to Bhakti Yoga, he becomes quickly successful. In other words, Bhakti Yoga, one's hands touch the hidden treasure without difficulty. The goal of all the revealed scriptures and Vedic injunctions is Krishna, as he himself says in the Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedascha sarver ahameva vedyaha. Since the Vedas enjoin one to search out Krishna and take shelter at his lotus feet, and since no Vedic process but devotional service will enable one to do this, one has to take to devotional service. According to the Bhagavad Gita 18.55, only the bhakti process is said to be definitive. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. This is the conclusive statement of the Vedas, and one has to accept this process if one is serious in searching for Krishna. This process of fruitive activity, karmakanda, which ends in material gain. The western side represents jnana kanda, the process of mental speculation, or sometimes siddhi kanda, the mystic yoga system. The northern side represents mystic yoga, or sometimes the speculative method. It is only the eastern side, devotional service, that enables one to attain life's real goal. On the southern side, there are fruitive activities by which one is subject to the punishment of Yamaraj. When one follows the system of fruitive activity, his material desires remain prominent. Consequently, the results of this process are compared to wasps and drones. The living entity is bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity and thus suffers in material existence birth after birth. One can be free from material desires by following this process. The propensity for material enjoyment never ends. Therefore, the cycle of birth and death continues, and the spirit soul suffers perpetually. The mystic yoga process is compared to a black snake that devours the living entity with poison. The ultimate goal of the is to become one with the Absolute. This means finishing one's personal existence, but the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has an eternal individual existence. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the individual soul existed in the past, is existing in the present, and will continue to exist as an individual in the future. Artificially trying to become one with the Absolute is suicidal. One cannot annihilate his natural condition. A yaksha, a protector of riches, will not allow anyone to take away riches for enjoyment. Such a demon will simply create disturbances. In other words, a devotee will not depend on his material resources but on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give real protection. This is called Rakshish Yadati Vishwasaha, or in the Bengali poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sharnagati, Avashya Rokshive Krishna, Vishwasa Palana. The surrendered soul must accept the fact that his real protector is Krishna, not his material acquisitions. Considering all these points, devotional service to Krishna is the real treasure house for the living entity. When one comes to the platform of devotional service, he always remains opulent in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is bereft of devotional service is swallowed by the black snake of the yoga system and bitten by the wasps and drones of fruitive activity, and he suffers consequent material miseries. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge into spiritual existence, thinking himself as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that when he comes to the spiritual platform, he will be disturbed and will return again to the material platform. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam 10 to 32, Ye ne arvindaksha vimukta mananas tvayashta bhavad avishuddha buddhayah aruhya kritchrena param anadrita yushmad angrayah. Such people may become sannyasis, but unless they take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they will return to the material platform to perform philanthropic activities. In this way, one's spiritual life is lost. This is to be understood as being devoured by the black snake.
Thank you. I think we'll stop here as the schedule calls for us to take breakfast early.
Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So breakfast is on its way. I have a couple of things I want to announce. One is that there are a few devotees who have not been keeping well, as you know, and we're just going to try our best, whatever is in our hand. Few things are not, but something are. Is making sure you drink enough water, stay safe, and also I would request the chaplains to just, if you could please keep an eye on the group you have to see who's in, who's out, and just stay in touch with the devotees. Sometimes the devotees are too shy to be asking for help when they're not well. But so if somebody's missing in the class, just reach out to them from the group and ask the question where they are and if they need anything. That's one thing I would say. So please, if you could do that, that would be really helpful. Because Mala Prabhu can only help if he knows who's not well. So we need to give that information to him and Madhya, and then they can help after that. So that's one thing. Second thing, I would say that please try to take rest early, because I know I can relate to you when I was young. Not that I'm very old either.
I'm old and I can relate.
It does help when you are on a run. We are on a marathon here in South India. I mean, that's the only way you could do South India. Mayapur, of course, you can be in one place, come back, but when you have to go to South India and follow Mahaprabhu, it's a big order. And in order to follow that order, you got to move on constantly, and that's what we are doing. And when you're moving on, it does take a toll on your health, because you pack, have prasadam, different air, different places. So it does takes a while, and it comes out to your health. So taking rest early really helps, and that's why we are trying our best to make sure the prasadam starts early, finishes early, and it just helps. You're more fresh, more attentive in the classes. So that's my second request to you all. Whenever you get the opportunity, take rest. So even if it is in the afternoon after lunch, a short nap, or in the evenings after prasadam, get to bed early. It will really help. So that's my second request. Third thing, I want to mention that while the breakfast is on its way, if you want to go back to your room, freshen up, or if you need to do or pick up anything, do it now, and come back here in 10 minutes. Hopefully 8 o'clock the prasadam should be here. Have prasadam, the buses will come just outside, and both the buses will leave directly from here. So it gives you an opportunity while the breakfast is delayed that please go out to your room, pick up anything, drop anything, what you need to do that, and then come back here for prasadam. We will directly leave from here. Is that okay? Yes, Prabhu.
What should we do for a laundry situation?
So the laundry situation is that you give your laundry now if you haven't given, do it urgently before you leave, so it will be back in the evening. The way the laundry works here, you have to call them. They'll come and pick it up from your room, and you just fill up the form. It's there in every room, and you write down in a yoga group. They'll give you a 20% discount on the bill, and you get it back in the evening. Those who gave yesterday evening, you still, if they said about 10 o'clock, so if you, because we're going to be out, when you come back, you can call them and they'll deliver it back to your room, and you directly settle the bill of laundry with them. Does that answer your question? Yes, please.
Yesterday when we brought it from the front desk, we didn't have to fill out any form at all. They just took the bags and said they took care of everything. So
I think, yeah, it's just the training of those team members. I worked in these hotels. Some people say just leave it here. The housekeeping assistant came to our room and said you got to take every single form. So yeah, it's whatever. We are at their mercy. So if you think you will, it's advisable to fill it out. The reason being that you know what clothes you're going and what you're paying for. Although we do rely on them to be honest and then charge us, but it does help to fill up the form. So yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
if we gave our laundry before 5 p.m. yesterday, what time can we expect to receive it?
They said 10 o'clock. So I would say as soon as you get back from the afternoon, after lunch, you can just call them and it will be ready. You just ask them to deliver it to your room. Nidarika, anything else? Okay. Malaprabhu, anything, any advice you'd like to give to devotees?
No, I just Hare Krishna everybody. So lots of people are coming down with lots of minor illnesses. Yeah, it's very important. Hare Krishna, yeah, I'm just saying that lots of people are coming down with lots of minor illnesses. We have 2 devotees currently in the pharmacy just getting some stocks and everything. Please just don't hesitate to contact me. I have, my full medical bag here, and hopefully we can make some diagnosis and some treatment plans. But there's quite a few of us who aren't here, who always just come down with things. I think there's something in the air here anyway. There are a lot of nausea and sort of dizziness and a few other sort of minor ailments as well. Just contact myself or Hina Mataji for any help or advice because we're all here together, we're all here to help each other. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I think from a prasadam perspective, I can assure you that the devotees is coming from ISKCON, Rajamandri, water and things like that. So I think we'll stop there. Please go, feel free to do what you have to do for the next 10 minutes. Be back at